Getting ready to redo some tile in your home? Let me tell you about 4 things you're gonna wanna be educated and comfortable with before you get started to make sure it turns out perfectly. Hey people, my name is Natalie and welcome to Design Build Style. I want to be your interior designer BFF for all things design, construction, and home styling. So here we do it all. But today, I really want to just do a very quick, approachable video letting you know some things if you're getting ready to do new tile in your home. So if you're trying to do it yourself or you're hiring a contractor or tile expert, I want to make sure there's some things you've been educated on so you're comfortable with the whole process, you can have an idea of what to keep an eye out for, and just really have the knowledge you need to make sure the tile turns out perfectly. First up is tile quality. You want to make sure what you're going to be installing is of good quality. At least this is what my tile guys always tell me. But here's the deal. When you're going to the store and you're shopping for tile, keep an eye on the irregularities. So say you're at a Floor & Decor and there's a box of tile. Take a look at, maybe 10 of the tiles and see if they all look the same, that they have the same length, the same height, if the edge finishing is similar. You want it to be as uniform as possible for the installation. That'll just help it more, look more sleek and secure. And now some natural stones will have a natural variation, but you also want to make sure that there is some consistency in the box. And the best thing you can do is take samples of the tile you're considering, show it to your installer, and make sure that they approve. And going along with the quality aspect is you want to make sure that you're using a tile that is rated for the application you're going to be using it. So you don't want to take a tile that's rated for the wall, and usually on the display pieces at the store or on the box, it'll tell you where that tile can be used. If it says wall, you don't want to try and sneak it on the floor. It's not going to work out very well for you in 90% of the circumstances because they're rated differently for wear, their thickness, and durability. If you try and put a wall tile on the floor, you'll probably run into issues, such as cracking and chipping and different things because it's just not meant for that heavy foot traffic. So in the quality part, make sure you're using it where it's supposed to be used. And along with quality, what a lot of people forget to do is to purchase tile that all has the same batch or run number. So what this means is all the tile has been made at the same time. The reason this matters, and I learned early on in my career, is because even in slightly different runs, the colors and the textures can vary slightly. It's not, a fault of the manufacturer, but perhaps the ingredient that they sourced or material that they use is slightly different, or the die number, the die lot's important too. You'll see die lot or run, all those are what I'm talking about. You want to make sure it's all the same number because say the die changes or where they source their material from one lot to the other, well, you might end up, say you're doing a blue tile and your blue is slightly different. Well, the way you avoid that is making sure you have the same die lot, the same run, same batch number. Those will be on the box or on the display. Make sure that even if you're placing an order, go through and double check that because you want to make sure all your tile looks exactly the same. And even in natural stone, there can be a variation in quality. There's such thing as a really high-end marble or travertine or item like that versus a low-quality product. So it's great to get a deal, but if you're going to try and find, say, a marble, for instance, and it's a great deal, take a sample to your installer and make sure that they're comfortable with the quality of that material. Sometimes it's going to be of a lesser quality. It might crack, it might chip, it might be harder for your installer to cut without it breaking. So you want to let them approve the product before you take it. It's not saying that, say, a lesser quality of marble can't be installed, but you definitely want to make sure your installer is comfortable with it and that there isn't any bad reviews or anything letting you know that this might be an issue during installation. After the quality of the tile has been confirmed, you want to make sure you have the proper tools. And I'm actually really excited about this. I was contacted by this brand, Dovo, to see if I would use and test and give review and tell you guys about their product, which is a laser level. So in tile installation, you want to make sure that you have the right tools for the job. You don't want to be winging it or using lesser than stuff. So this is a laser level. If you're not familiar, it puts different lines on the wall, and I'll insert some video here showing you what it is. And it's a great product that helps you make sure that your tile is level on the floor and the ceiling. And this one does both of those. The Dovo unit is a 4-plane laser level, meaning it's suitable for ceilings, walls, and floors. So I actually gave it to our tile installer since I don't actually lay tile myself. And he's very picky, and he used the product and actually just loved it. Here's some video of that showing. So it's a great product as well. It also has a Dual amortization, the core is wrapped in a rubber material so it better handles impact as well. It has a 5-year accuracy warranty, which is huge for a product like this. So if you're trying to install tile yourself, it's definitely something I would suggest investing in to make sure you get just right on that installation. Or also, if you're hiring someone, it might be a product you want to share with them, and make sure that they are also using a quality product to make sure your product is installed in a level and perfect fashion. So thanks again for Dovo for sending that product over. I love bringing you guys products. I'll have the link below. So if you want to check it out, you can. But I want to make sure that, we always share wonderful products with you guys so you can trust and know that we are leading you down the right path for all things interior design and home renovation. Along with the laser level, you're going to want to make sure that you have the right trowel size. You want to make sure you have the proper thinset, because different thinset, which is the material that goes behind the tile, it may need to be of a certain color for certain types of tile, or different things you want to check out. I can't give you the answers for all of those specifics on this video because it depends per job, but these are just some of the questions that you need to be comfortable asking your installer or your vendor when you're purchasing the tile. You are also going to need spacers for your tile, and spacers are the little pieces that sit between the tile that holds their placement before you grout to make sure you have the exact same measurement of space between each tile. So that can be a personal preference, or there's certain tiles that have to have a certain amount of space between them or not space. So you're going to want to make sure that you're comfortable with that as well. So know that your spacers are going to need to be of a certain size, so you can't just go grab any random thing that you see. So always make sure to talk to the vendor or your installer. So we've talked about quality, we've talked about tools, now we need to talk about prep. You want to make sure that the surface you are putting the tile on is fully prepared. The main thing you want to do is make sure it's flat and level as much as it can be. Level sometimes is an issue, but at least flat. You want to make sure there's nothing on there, the substrate is perfect, and do all the prep work needed for that. Again, your application will be different from somebody else watching this video, so you're going to have to do some research on that, but just know you want a flat, level substrate surface to get the best tile job. Not only does it need to be flat, it needs to be clean. Some stuff you think people would know, but you really do want to make sure there's not dust, grime, dirt, pieces, anything there that might mess with the adherent factor of your tile and the thinset and all that stuff. So make sure the area is clean. Try and get as much dust out of the area as possible, just so everything goes as best possible. You also want to make sure that you have the proper backing or underlayment for it. So if you're doing a shower, you want to make sure that there's the proper waterproofing material. You always have to have that stuff. These are not corners that you can cut in any kind of a tile job. And again, even if you're not doing the tile job yourself, you want to be able to keep an eye on your tile installer and make sure that they're doing certain things like waterproofing your shower, floor and shower wall area, or making sure that the underlayment is the proper type of material. This will take doing a little bit more research on your own, or if you have specific questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I try and answer every question that comes through here. I can't answer them all in one video. But again, I'm just trying to give you the points that you can go then do some further study on and educate yourself so you're prepared to watch out for those things. So proper substrate, underlayment, waterproofing, that's your next thing for prep. And lastly, the most important thing to think through to get the perfect tile job is the installer you choose. I mean this, guys. This is not the spot where you want to go and try and save some money on who's installing the tile. I promise you that. As a professional, I can walk into a job and tell immediately if it was DIY or done poorly. You want to spend the money on your tile installer. They are craftsmen. Ones that are very good at it have their methods down. It's an art and a science, and it's actually really beautiful to watch. You want to make sure that you've seen their work in person. Pictures can be so deceiving, especially on the finish work and the cuts and everything. So if you can go see in person a tile job that someone has done, that is the best thing. Or again, a referral from a personal referral from someone that you know, or hire companies like us. If you're in Metro Atlanta, we'd love to work for you. Call us, but we have the best tile installers. We won't just go hire anybody else. We have guys that really do the best job possible. And part of that is in the prep work. They're going to know how to do the prep work and even layout. So if you walk into a bathroom, sometimes you'll see maybe like a 2-inch sliver of tile randomly at the end or at the top in some weird spot. that really shouldn't happen. A really professional tile installer who is an artisan in what they're doing will lay out the tile in the best way possible so those awkward cuts and small pieces are placed where they're not drawing so much attention. So all that very much matters, and they're going to be really good at their prep work, and it's going to have an overall super polished finish. And a lot of times this can also save you money as well because they do it properly. There's not going to need to be follow-up coming back to do certain repairs, or things will, maybe the tiles will loosen over time. If it's done really well on the front end by an expert, you're going to save yourself money and pain in the long run. So that's it. Now you need to think about quality, tools, prep, and installer. So my goal is to just give you guys palatable information, just to give you that education to feel a little more confident in everything to do with interior design, construction, home styling, all that kind of good stuff. So I really hope you like and subscribe and come back and watch more videos. Always feel free to tell me, what video you'd love to see in the future. And if you have stayed till this end of this video, I do this for you guys. I really do. I'm so thankful for it. So come back and see me soon.